was like drifting off to sleep. And then I was like, oh my God, I know why I'm single. I know why I'm single.
I'm Emily Calloway, and this is Kismet. Kismet is a podcast featuring your true love stories. As today is Thanksgiving, I thought it would be fun to do something a little bit different. I've had a number of people ask me what I've learned from Kismet this year, and the answer is so much. My guests have had wildly different stories of meeting the one, yet all of their stories have the same 5 things in common. I'm sharing these 5 takeaways in today's episode, and I hope you find them as powerful and inspiring as I do.
I had this revelation one night. I was going to bed. I may have had like a couple of glasses of wine or something. I was like drifting off to sleep. And then I was like, oh my God, I know why I'm single. I know why I'm single. And I was like, I'm single because I was meant to start this podcast. And I couldn't have started this podcast if I was in love and with my person. You know, that idea never would have come to me at that point. So, and I couldn't have come here honestly and authentically and started this podcast being someone that wasn't on this journey myself, you know, because I am looking for hope and inspiration from all of these people. I want to know that it's real, like all these things that I feel in my heart, my soul, my gut that can happen for me. I want to know that it's real. Like I want someone to look at me and tell me that it's real. And every single one of these guests has done that. They're not flash in the pans. Like a lot of them have been together a decade or more, you know? They still, you've seen these guests, you've watched their videos. They tear up when they talk about their person. They get a glow, you know? I always like kind of come back to one of my defining things is like, for if it's right for me is, do I feel lucky? Do I feel lucky to be with this person? And I don't think like, when I say lucky, I don't mean like, oh, are they going to make me look good? Like, no, that's not what I mean. Like, do I feel like they're the like kindest, funniest, like person? Like, do I love, you know, the way that they smile? Do I love the way that they shine a light on me and make me feel special? Do I love the way they interact with their family or my family or the people in the general world? Like, do I admire them? Do I respect them? Do I think I won the lottery because this special person is my person? You know, that's like what I want. And when I'm talking to all of these folks that, you know, are sharing their stories with me, that is what they have in common is they all feel lucky. You can see it on their faces. You can hear it in the way they talk about it. You can hear the respect and the care and the commitment and the investment and the love. And, you know, I feel so validated in really kind of, you know, I guess the way that I've walked through life, hoping and hoping that this happens for me because, you know, despite all the stories out there of marriages that are failing and relationships that aren't working for whatever reason, there are these beautiful, wonderful, deep, caring, meaningful relationships. And that's what I'm holding out for. I'll be single until that day, but that is what I'm holding out for. So with that said, I want to share with you the top 5 things that I have learned from my guests this year. So, number 5, when it's real, it's easy. It's what these guests have told me over and over again is they say things like, it feels like home. It felt so easy. We just spent the whole night talking. Like I've never done that before with anyone. It's just like this thing, like we just connected and it just felt easy. And I think that's important for all of us to remember because, you know, especially at the beginning, if you're chasing someone, if you're not wanting to see them, if you're like, if conversations feels forced, if it feels like maybe, you know, it's just not jiving for the right reason, then maybe that's just not the right person for you. Like you don't have to make someone fit in a box or like make them be your person if they're not your person. It's I think when it's the right person for you, it just works. And you don't have to force it. You don't have to chase anyone, or you don't have to be chased. You don't have to be forced into something or like feel like you're settling for something. You want to be there, and it's easy. Number 4, it can happen anytime, any place, at any age. So we have heard from guests this year that have met across the country on Twitter. We have heard from people who've met on vacation their last night. We have heard from people who met on a dating app across the world and then happenstance ended up thrusted into the same city just a month later. All of these couples ended up together. They didn't know that that was going to be their story. That's the way it shook out for them. And I think that that's important. And that's one of the reasons why I say every episode at the end, be open to everyday magic, because your person can be just down the street or they may be blah, 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 blah. Because you just don't know. Like you could be a person that goes on a date every day of the year from a dating app and never find that deeper connection. Or you could be a homebody who literally goes to the grocery store and meets their soulmate in the meat aisle. Like you don't know what your story is going to be. So, just be open. And I would say follow your passions and be out there in the world. And as multiple guests have said, like take off the earbuds and stop looking at the phone and just interact with the world. And I will share a real life situation with you. This happened this last week, and this wasn't a love connection, but it did make me think. I was like, this could have been a love connection. Like this is also a great come online for any of you guys or girls, like anyone that's listening to this, like you might want to steal it from this guy. So I was checking out Publix at the self-checkout machine and just, not even really paying attention, like getting my receipt and pulling it out. And I hear this guy next to me goes, "Beat ya." I turned around. I was like, I didn't know that we were in a race. But I was like, it caught me off guard, but it was like funny and cute. And like, it wasn't a love connection, but it could have been with the right person. It was just kind of like, I don't know, like that could have been my story. Like the right person, the right time, like that you just don't know. You don't know when it's going to happen for you. So just be out there in the world and interacting and let fate reveal itself. Number 3, and this is a big one. Recognize that connection is rare and seize the day when that connection happens for you. Connection, I think I can count on one hand, like the number of people I've really felt like a deeper connection with in terms of a romantic connection. Some were just people I met very, on vacation or something like that, like where it was just a moment in time and you're having a big adventure and just something happens and you're like, whoa, this is like a rare connection, but it's not meant to be more. Some it's been people that I've dated that, from the instant it was like, oh, like my life might change like right now. And when I was younger, I think that I didn't recognize that connection was as rare as it truly is. Those people that you have those connections with, it is something that's truly rare. And it's usually lifelong. It's usually, if you run into those people years later, there's still that like, whoo, So when it happens for you, doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing, like if it makes sense for you or not, don't let it just slip away. These people recognize there was connection and they see today and like now they are happily married or happily engaged or whatever the case may be. They are with their person because they saw it in the moment and they, essentially capitalized on that moment. So if you experience that connection, see it out. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, it burns out, doesn't work out. Okay, great. Like, you know now. Like, you know, it's not gonna be the person that you look back at and say, I was such a dummy. Like, I was afraid to go. Like, it wasn't practical for me to do this, that, or the other, or like whatever. And I blew it. I blew my shot with that person. Now they're with somebody else. Like, you won't have to know that. Like, you'll know, like, oh, I gave it my best shot. It didn't work out. But, like, I gave it my best shot. Number 2, this is a big one. Do the work on yourself. Something that all my guests have also said. They said, I recognized I had toxic patterns. I kept attracting the same kind of person, and that person was not the person I wanted to be with anymore. I realized that I was attracted to the same kind of person and realized that, like, this wasn't actually what I wanted. These people went to therapy. They read self-help books. They journaled, they thought, they gave themselves time to heal. They followed new passions. They took big risks to, like, change their sort of impression of themselves and grow in terms of confidence and self-worth. And they weren't looking, they didn't feel like they needed a person to, I guess, fulfill them. They were self-fulfilled. They wanted that, but they weren't looking for it. They were just sort of like coming to a place where they felt healed on their own journey, living their life, and boom, that's when it happened. Like, when they sort of just were like, I feel good with myself. That's when it happens. So if you feel like you are in a place where you are essentially stuck in the same patterns, where you're dating the same kind of person or you're having the same kind of experiences over and over again, like, why does this keep happening to me? Why do I keep dating this kind of person? That's a good time to kind of check in and see, like, do I let things slide too early? Like, is there something that someone does and I make excuses for them over and over again? Or do I fall into love bombing? Like, am I somebody that, like, if someone just showers me with love and attention at the beginning, I buy into it every time before it's actually earned? Because affection, like, a lot of these stories have moved fast, but they connected on a deeper level. They connected with stories and sharing their lives and sharing their dreams and their hopes and that sort of thing. That's a different experience than somebody that is just like, hey, beautiful, I can't live life without you. Like, so maybe that's what you fall into, So really kind of doing that work and saying, like, hey, like, why do I need to feel validated this way? Like, why am I susceptible to this? Whatever the case might be for you. All of these folks, they've all done that work on themselves and they've come to a place of healing, and that's when it happened for them. Number 1, and this sort of ties into the third one, but I think that this is my biggest takeaway. Take the risk. Life is short. Take the risk. They all took the risk. They gave of themselves early. They gave of themselves vulnerably. They, physically moved across country or across the world, or, did things that really could have made them look foolish if it didn't work out, could have broken their hearts, could have cost them, personal financial strain or things like that. Like, but they took the risk and the risk paid off. And, as one of my guests said, Flora, I believe it was, she said, if it doesn't work out, you're still growing. You learn something from that experience. And I think too many people are just scared of taking those risks. They're saying, they're looking at the practical of it. They're looking at, hey, this person doesn't live in my city. Hey, I am not looking to be in a relationship right now. Hey, I don't know. There's so many different reasons people give for not being ready or open. But if it's the right person, if it's the right time, be brave, be bold. Like, who cares? Like, you only live once. So make the most of your life. And it may open up a bigger and better and more expansive and more joyful life than you ever anticipated. So why not take the risk? And that's why I say every week, be bold. So that leads me to the lessons that I have personally learned this year. And I've taken these lessons into practical application. So one of the biggest ones for me is I am not looking anymore. I am not dating anymore. I'm not saying that I am anti-dating. I'm not saying that if I didn't meet someone today that I like wouldn't go on a date with them. Absolutely. Totally. But I am not on the apps. I'm not going to bars trying to meet somebody. I'm not letting like that chase for a partner impact my life, you know? It's been like really peaceful, honestly. Like, I mean, I still go out at nights. I go to concerts and I go to, watch sporting events. Go dogs. But those are like the events that I like really kind of go out for, or birthday parties, stuff like that. I don't go out just to go out. Like, I mean, there was a lot of different times in my life that I went out to bars or restaurants with friends with the goal of like, let's look cute and meet a guy. Let's go flirt with somebody. Like, let's just go have a good night. But like underneath, we were all like, oh, are there cute guys there? Is that a place where cute guys go? I'm not doing that shit anymore. No more. No more. Not doing the apps. No more. Mm-mm. And here's why. Because when you're looking like that, I mean, first of all, it goes back to the saying, when you're not looking is when you're going to find somebody. I know we've all heard it. I know it feels so dumb, but I think that there is a lot of truth to that, because when you're going out in search of somebody, if you're going out, whether it's on an app or whether it's out like crawl in a bar, whatever the case may be, if you're going out with intention of meeting somebody, more than likely, like, it's not going to be the connection that fuels this relationship unless you're lucky. It's going to be a lot of times, I think, forcing something. Like, I'm lonely. I want a partner. So I'm going to go on this app and I'm going to like, well, they're good on paper and we get along well enough. So like, let's continue this journey or whatever. And then I feel like you end up in a relationship that isn't necessarily right. You're just in it because you like them enough and you're tired of being alone, And I think that happens for a lot of people. They just want companionship. And I think for some people that's great. Like, maybe that's where you are in life and maybe that's all you want. And maybe you don't want that bigger thing. Maybe you just want something like easy and like a companion that you can just go through life with. But it doesn't have to be, I don't know, it doesn't have to be like these stories, right? But for me, I don't want that anymore. Like, I want to have that kind of connection that is just undeniable. And I feel like the apps were really hurting my mental health in a lot of ways. A lot of the people that I was meeting on the apps were just not healed. I mean, honestly, like, even the good ones, they weren't healed. I met a lot of nice people on the apps, but it always just felt like, maybe there wasn't a connection, and then I'd feel really bad because there wasn't a connection, and I know the guy would feel bad. The whole situation was just not enjoyable for me, to be honest with you. And as an intuitive person, like, I really do feel like I am attracted to a person's essence versus a picture. Like, I can't tell you, like, I can look at a picture and be like, okay, like, he's cute, but like, I can't feel more for somebody from a picture. I can't like really be interested in that, I've got to like have the whole package. And so I just found myself just like, I don't know, just feeling a little bit hopeless because I wouldn't feel anything. I'd go out and be like, really nice. But it's just not right, And that's one of that sort of like leads me to this other place. Like I feel now like where my orbit is just gonna like when it's the right person at the right time, it's just gonna crash into each other. Like, and I don't really have any ownership of when that's gonna happen. Like I just have to be out in the world, I guess. But like as I said earlier, like it can happen anytime, any place, at any age. Like I really don't know when that's going to be for me. And so I just got to go out and be like open to it. People always say, be open, be open, like you're not open enough or whatever. And I've always sort of taken that to mean like, maybe date someone that's like less attractive, or maybe date someone that is X versus Y or whatever, But I've really started to realize that openness is different when you're not looking. And what I mean by that is when you're on an app, you have all those filters, right? You have height, you have age, you have all of these kind of education, like all of these things that like, the right person, it's not going to matter. Like you're going to be attracted to them, whether they fit your height filter or your age filter or whatever the case may be. But I feel like, first of all, you're filtering people through that. And then, you expect them to show up how you imagined. And whatever you imagine based off of a piece of paper or app, like whatever they've put on themselves, that's not going to be reality. They're going to have a different voice. They're going to have a different sort of way of walking or interacting with the world than you expected. And sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse, but like it is just what it is. And so it takes a while, at least for me, to process that. Like I'm like, oh, I thought you'd be like this, but you're like this. And there isn't that time or grace to really give yourself to warm up to that idea of that person. The way that I'm moving through the world now, I notice that like, guys are coming up and I'm talking to them or whatever, and it doesn't feel like I'm hitting on them or they're hitting on me. We're just having a conversation. Like the guy at the supermarket, or like there's someone in my professional life, not anyone I work with or anything like that, but somebody that like I know in sort of a professional space, I guess you'd say. And this person, like, recently I saw, and they would like, I've never liked them on an app. Like they're not someone that I like looked at and like, oh, he's hot or anything like that. But we were just talking and he like said something and it was funny. And I said something back and it was like all of a sudden we're kind of bantering. And I was like, he's kind of cute, And I never like with that, if I was like looking for that attraction or that feeling, I would have been blocked. I would never have really seen that. But anyway, I'm just saying that like that I find myself being more open because I'm not looking for someone right now. I'm just walking through life and like I'm a little bit more receptive to interesting conversations without any pressure behind them. And then if those interesting conversations end up in a good date, then that would be ideal. But it's just kind of funny how that works. Another sort of lesson that I've learned is something that I touched on in the last episode, which is manifestation and non-negotiables. So with that, as sort of a woo-woo LA actor girl over here, I've always been into that sort of idea of manifestation. But what I'm sort of like realizing now is it's not manifestation like casting a spell. Like I'm going to dream up my perfect person. I'm going to write down every trait that they're going to have and like poof, they're going to appear. I mean, if it was that easy, then Kismet wouldn't exist because we'd all be able to like dream up our Prince Charmings or Princess, Charming or whatever the case might be and have them like immediately appear. But it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that at all. So what I'm realizing is that manifestation is a tool for you to sort of realize what's important to you, like the real things, like the like generosity or kindness or humor or depth or, personal growth or any of these like kind of like key things that for you are like, man, like that's really what I want. And then the non-negotiable pieces of that too. So non-negotiables, like I have my list that I wrote out earlier this year, and I found it very helpful, to be honest with you. But like, I'm not going to read out my entire list, but it's things like consistency. I want someone that's consistent, that's going to show up every single day. I don't want to wonder if they're ghosting me. So that's like that. Those are like guidelines, and so that helps because with like the manifestation list, which can be like attractive traits. If someone shows up and you're like, manifesting and like meditating on this and journaling on it and thinking about it, and they show up and all of a sudden, like, and you've said like, I want someone that's like really charming, that like I laugh really hard with. And you meet somebody and you're all of a sudden bantering and you're having this great conversation and you're laughing harder than you've laughed in months, but they look different than you thought they'd look. And, but then you look at their eyes and they've got this like twinkle, and I think the manifestation is like, oh, this is what I've been asking for. Like, okay, I need like a second because it's like different than what I expected, but it doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's just different, that I've been asking for this. I've been asking the universe for this. And here is this person who is hilarious and I'm having a great time with. And maybe like I should give this person a chance because this is what I've been asking for, And then non-negotiables, like there's someone that I was seeing a little bit earlier this year who I really liked. I really liked this person. He was, very good on paper and very good in real life as well. But, the thing is that he didn't meet all my non-negotiables. And I don't mean that in a way that like, like I said, non-negotiables, they're not like the superficial stuff. It's the deep stuff. And talking about consistency, like this person wasn't consistent, like at all. And so as much as I wanted to make excuses for him, and I did like make excuses, I started to realize, I was like, do I want someone that's not able to like be consistent? And the answer to that is no. No, I don't. Like, I want somebody that wants to be there every day. I want someone that's like excited to talk to me and like to tell me about their day, and not in a way that's like oppressive or pressuring, but just a person that's like not going to just disappear for 3 days. And so I think that's important too, to sort of recalibrate. Like when you have somebody that you really like maybe they're like, this guy was a total babe, and he was on a personal growth journey and we had all the same goals, all the things that we wanted were like the same things. And I mean, I really kind of got caught up in the vision of that because I was like, oh, this is what I've been asking for. But when I like really kind of looked at it, I was like, oh no, it's like deceptive. Like it's all kind of, it's all good on paper again. But like in the reality of it, like this person hasn't done the work. This person isn't ready. And this person, like, I mean, I don't know, maybe they just don't like me enough. But I should not be putting any more of my effort into this because it's not right. So anyway, these are the lessons that I've taken. It's really kind of informed my outlook on dating and the way that I'm sort of moving through it right now at this place in my life. And hopefully, hopefully this takes me to my own Kismet story down the road. We'll see. But right now, I do feel like even though it can get lonely at times, especially this time of year, and all of you that are out there that are single and are struggling with being single, like I feel you. Like it's really hard to move through life as a single person in a couple's world sometimes, especially at the holidays. Like, it's hard to go to parties without significant other, work parties and stuff like that, where everyone's got their partner and you're by yourself again. And I know what that feels like. Know what it feels like to have holiday events with family members who, I mean, for me, it's just me and my mom now because my brothers are married and they've got their own families. And so, they're they're included. They also always include us. Of course, we're all family and we love each other very much, but it can be like sad when it's just, my mom and her adult child, her 40 something year old adult child who still is like by herself like Christmas Eve, and then we go and travel to see my brothers and their kids and stuff. And it's hard. Like it's definitely hard. But as hard as it is, I think it's harder for those folks that are in the wrong relationships, that have children, that their lives are intertwined with their partners, who are in abusive relationships, who are in good relationships that just aren't fulfilling, who feel stuck or unsupported or unrecognized or unseen or unheard or whatever the case may be. That's the hardest journey. So for all of us, it's lonely, but we're so much closer to meeting our person than if we were in the wrong relationship. So I hold that in my heart, and I hope that you can take that to your heart. And I hope that, some of these insights I've shared that I've learned, I hope they help you. And I thank you to all of my incredible guests who have shared and been so vulnerable and brave and generous with their time and their stories this year. I've heard so many good things from my friends that listen, that just have been, so touched by your stories or have taken insights or like, oh, I loved what this person said. So I really think all of you really have a special place in my heart. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed to wherever you're listening, please do that, because I really want to continue to grow this platform so that other people can hear these stories who need to hear them and have the hope in their hearts as well. Until next time, be bold, be kind, and be open to everyday magic, because your person might be just down the street. You can meet them anytime, anywhere, any place. And when you do, you better message me and tell me your story. Happy Thanksgiving, y'all.